Let's go to Clay Henry, who's with us here, publisher and editor, Hogs Illustrated. Also, you can read his columns at Whole Hog Sports. Clay, no internet for you up by the Norfolk River today. You're dealing with what I dealt with yesterday, so we got you on the phone. But at least you've got electricity and heat, right?
I do. I have now. Electricity has come and gone. It's currently solid as a rock. Knock on wood here, but it went off 4 times during the morning rush yesterday. A couple of times while I was talking, and I just kept talking. I have no idea how much of what I said got to listeners, and I'm sure there was some really important stuff that they didn't get to hear.
So if you can remember everything you thought you said during the morning rush yesterday, we can give you the next 20 minutes to just speak top of mind.
No, I don't think there was anything important. It was not anything that I felt when we came back on the air that I needed to say. And I think it was, I got at least one text asking if Ty was knocking me off. I said, no, he doesn't have that ability.
None that you know of, though.
I feel like he would try. I feel like that's something he'd try to do.
Yeah, but I know you got my back, though, Jenkins.
I do, yes, sir.
I know you do. Yeah. So you're in
your
there
back too.
Controls. Yeah.
Clay, I've got your back, too, because you used the word pitchability in your most recent baseball column, which is something I want to get to in a minute.
I think everybody in the state has your back.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I don't quite understand it, but I'm thankful for it. Yeah.
So watching last night's Arkansas win over Florida and watching them come out with a hot start, and we've been discussing this in the last 2 segments, the 5 guys you have on the court most of the time, it's really a 6-player team right now. And this is not to say that Desi Sills and J.D. Note are not part of the plans, but they've been too inconsistent. They've been unreliable at the things that they do right now to be fully integrated, I think, into the plans of this basketball team. When you have a 6-player group playing as well as these guys are, and I know in the future you can't win a ton of games and tournaments with just 6 players. But right now, I mean, it's Smith, Davis, Moody, Tate, Vanover, Jalen Williams, and this 6-player rotation is playing great basketball.
Yeah, those 2 that you mentioned, Note and Sills, they're going to keep getting their chances. And Desi, I think he's still fighting through the shoulder injury. That's his shooting motion, and it looks a little herky-jerky right now. He'll get his minutes because even when he's not a factor offensively, he can do some things defensively that earn him time. And that's what Note's got to do. If he doesn't have to score to be effective. He's athletic enough that if he will remember his defensive principles and do the things that create stops, then he can be a factor too. But that's the key with this coach right now. And I've watched everybody focus on some of the lapses they had on offense where they didn't finish last night. I've been on the message boards and seen Twitter, and that's the worry. But what I've seen of late is in the last 2 minutes they can get stops. Defensively, they don't foul a lot, and they get stops, and that's the formula for winning games.
I also find it really interesting in seeing the way Moses Moody is the best player on this team without being a dominant sort of player, if you know what I mean. And I think Mike White hit this very well on what this team overall does well. It's the same about Moses. There's not one thing that this team right now does great. They just do almost everything really well. I think that describes Moses Moody very well, too.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bill. And of course, the Florida coach, I mean, if there's anybody that would know it, they've spent 2 weeks studying for Arkansas because they haven't had any games. They know Arkansas inside and out. I was really impressed with some of the things that DeVon Davis continues to do. And you're right, Moses is the best player, but Devo's closing. I don't know when he's going to, pull even in all the different areas that Moses does, but it's up there. And I wrote something a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, about Devo and compared him to Moncrief. And he's not Moncrief yet, but he's got some Sidney-like traits, the way he goes after loose balls and the fearless way that he plays. And I give Jimmy Dykes credit for talking about his fearlessness, because that's what he's all about. And I don't think he's afraid of any moment. And Moses isn't either. But it's and then, the third freshman, Jalen Williams, is terrific too. And he got some stops and some rebounds. And boy, it looked like he had fun playing.
Clay Henry joining us here on Halftime. Clay, a little bit more on DeVon Davis, and we talked extensively about him last week. And last week we also drew the comparison with him and Sidney Moncrief. But looking forward, he's trending in the right direction, but if he keeps trending upward quickly, I don't see him going to the NBA draft. So if you assume you have him back for his sophomore and junior seasons, do you think Devo is the type of player that you could build this team around just based solely off the tenacity, the energy, the heart, the passion that this kid brings to the floor each and every game?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. Man, I mean, that's the heart and soul of what you want in a basketball team, and he's got it. And everybody, they'll follow somebody like that. And whether you want to, compare him to Moncrief or Corey Beck or those kind of players. I mean, he hasn't been to a Final Four, and we don't know how long he's going to be here. But you think for sure next year. But he's going to play in the NBA. If he stays healthy, and there's not any doubt in my mind that his ability is way, way up there. And but it's the heart and the desire, the fearlessness, all those intangibles that make your team better. And the other guys will do the same things he's doing. When somebody sees that you get praise for doing the down and dirty things to win, they'll do them too. That's just the nature of what competition is. And you compete for praise just like you do playing time.
Clay, we've got about a minute 20 left here if you could boil it down, but I don't know if you're ready quite to give an assessment on the job Muss has done this year. I usually would want to look at the end of the season, but with the way this team is rounded into form when you want them to be playing really good basketball, what do you think about the job Muss is doing right now? I think he's done a splendid job with this group.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that he knows what he's doing. And it's just, and he coaches every second. And it's there's, even when things are going really well and he sees something he doesn't like, he's going to try to fix it, make sure that they're coached in what he wants them to do. And you saw that in the non-conference games and some of those early season games. They didn't look very good, but they were working on end-of-game situations for the whole game. And it was disjointed, but that was his plan. He knew he was going to win those games, or at least some of them. That he did that. But yeah, he's a terrific coach, and I know Arkansas fans are enjoying what they're seeing.
Well, certainly it's been a lot of fun so far, and I think we're going to have a lot more fun in the next month, maybe month and a half, both on the men's and women's side. Stay tuned. Switching the conversation over to some college baseball with Clay Henry as halftime rolls along on this Wednesday. All right, Clay Henry's with us for another segment here, and even though the college baseball season has been pushed back one day, as far as Arkansas is concerned, some other teams will be playing on Friday, but not the Razorbacks. We'll get into some baseball here with Clay Henry. Clay, before we get into this, I don't know if you and I have talked about this very much, and we're both big baseball people and baseball fans. And over the 6 years now that I've been covering Arkansas baseball up close, I've kind of taken to the college game more than the major league game. It's not that I don't enjoy Major League Baseball, but I've actually begun to enjoy college baseball more so. I wonder where you fall on that radar.
Well, I tend to follow major league teams. I don't have a team. I tend to follow those teams based on Razorback players, and there's enough of them scattered around that you might be following several teams. I don't play fantasy baseball. I did back in the '90s. There was one time
it was called
that
rotisserie then.
Pardon me?
Wasn't it called rotisserie baseball then, not fantasy baseball in the '90s?
It might have been. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, but I've said rotisserie. They probably think I'm cooking. Yeah, but yeah, that's. I mean, I go all the way back to when I was a kid. I played Stratomatic baseball, and there may be a few people that remember that. But that was a lot of fun, and there were cards for every player. But anyway, I don't follow Major League Baseball that much, so I'm a college baseball guy, just by the nature of that's what I like to do, and I enjoy it. One of my favorite issues is the baseball preview at Hogs Illustrated, which is on the newsstands now. We're printing an issue today, and you'll be interested in this, Phil. The cover is Chelsea Dungy. And I was talking with Kyle Parkinson, well, how many female basketball players have been on our cover? And I think it's been 3. Christy Smith was on the cover, and there's one more, and my mind is blank right now who that third one was, but it was right after the then we called them Ladybacks, went to the Final Four under Gary Blair, and we had a cover that I can still see it, but I can't remember who the young lady was that was on the cover. It'll come to me probably right about the time we finish the show.
Well, it certainly would make sense to have somebody of Chelsea's caliber on the cover of your magazine, and unfortunately, we won't be able to watch her and the rest of the team play tomorrow night. That game's been postponed against Ole Miss because of the weather. Clay's latest column that you can see on Whole Hog is all about the word pitchability, which I think is really a great word to describe what you're hoping for from this pitching staff. And you remember in the discussions we've had about the upcoming season, Clay, my ifs about this team is more about the ability of pitchers with great stuff to command that stuff, throw strikes, and therefore get batters out. And I think that all is defined very well by the term pitchability, which to me, that's like the difference between Isaiah Campbell in 2016 when he was very inconsistent, and Isaiah in 2018, and then in 2019 when he was more dominant than I've seen any Arkansas pitcher in these 6 years. So to me, that's the big question of this team right now. It's all what you wrote about, and it seems Dave thinks this team's got plenty of pitchability.
Yeah, that's what he says, and now he didn't say every one of these guys that throw 95 have pitchability, but some of them are still developing that. And, it's kind of interesting. I go back to first time I heard that word was from Dave Jorn, who was pitching coach for both Norm DeBryan and then, for a good number of years for Dave Van Horn, too. And we were talking about Ryan Stanek when he was a young pitcher. And he was throwing 96, 97, and Dave was like, he's trying to pop that radar gun to get to 100. And he said, that's not really what we need him to do. Just locate pitches, throw strikes, don't get behind in the count, get your breaker over, and work hitters. And he said pitchability. And he said Ryan is trying to win the teddy bear at the county fair. And I just started laughing. He says, no, that's what he's trying to do. He says, you get the teddy bear by, getting to a certain level on the radar gun, and they give you the bear. And he says, and then he had a great pitching outing in the College World Series where he beat South Carolina. South Carolina had won 22 straight NCAA tournament games, and he went to Omaha and shut them down. And it was just never being behind in the count, working the corners, and elevating when he needed to. Just all the things. You can go to Urban Dictionary for baseball and enter pitchability, and it gives you about 40 things, bullet points of what pitchability is. But that, it's you know it when you see it, right, Bill? You know when a guy's got that.
Clay Henry is here with us on halftime just for a few more minutes. Clay, if the baseball program is at the place where a season that doesn't end in Omaha, is that a disappointing season?
Oh, I think you have to put more parameters on that to find that out. But going to Omaha is so special and it's so difficult. And when you get into the regionals, and one off game can do it. You get into losers bracket in that regional, and it can be so many different variables that would cause that to happen. I hate to pin it on this, but you can draw an umpire that has a bad game and behind the plate, and I saw that happen with Jess Todd one time pitching against Oklahoma State in a regional in Fayetteville, and they squeezed him in the strike zone. He'd struck out 21 or 19 or something at the SEC tournament, and he came back the next game, and the strike zone just got so tiny, and all at once he's walking batters, and they're behind. Next thing, they're in the losers bracket, and they're done. So there's some things that can happen, but I get your point, and they have elevated to the point where you expect the College World Series, and shouldn't get disappointed when things don't go right, and you should remember that they go to the College World Series a bunch. So, but this is a good team, but there's a lot of good teams because of the shortened draft this year in college baseball.
It's going to be incredible to see, and I think in a roundabout way, just kind of how you described it, these past 8, 9, 10 years, almost as a fan base, it's almost like we've become spoiled a little bit with the success that Dave Van Horn and his coaching staff has brought to the table for this Razorback baseball program. I mean, and like you said, we expect it as fans, but if you don't get there, it's not that big a deal because there's so many variables that this team will have to overcome that are outside of their control. Is that a fair assessment, though, that maybe we've gotten spoiled to a certain extent?
Yeah, and I think that, we had that happen with Nolan Richardson, to a point, where, it's really tough to feed the monster. They've gotten done so well, won so many games, and that's the good thing. Once you get to that level, people, are disappointed with any loss and wonder what's going to happen. I can remember, they had a bad stretch a few years ago, and somebody called in the radio show that I was doing with Bo Mattingly and suggested that Van Horn was done. We just started laughing, and then we had to kind of cut the guy's legs off, and let him sink into the abyss that he deserved to fall into. I'm talking about the guy that called in. So, but yeah, I think we've gotten spoiled. There's no doubt. And you know what? I think he's going to spoil us some more because I don't think it's going to stop. I think more good players are coming. They've got a great facility that's about to open, and for development, it's going to be a fun run.
Clay, before we let you go, we've seen some photos on social media across Arkansas. This is nothing I ever did as a kid. People making snow cream, like all of the ingredients of ice cream put into the snow outside their house, and they're eating it over and over again, perhaps, as well. So my question is, with the thought of pollution mixing with the snow as it falls to the ground, would you ever, or have you ever, eaten snow cream?
I have not, and I've got a wonderful half-gallon container in my freezer with some Yarnell vanilla ice cream, and that's perfect for me. And that's my go-to dessert. Although I will say my daughter sent us some strawberry cake last night. It was just wonderful. I thought about having some ice cream to go with it, but it was perfect just the way it was. So
I hope
no, I haven't had any snow cream. Watch out for the yellow snow, though. That's my warning.
No kidding. They'll tell you it's vanilla. It ain't vanilla. And I hope that cake was not made with snow either. Clay, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Clay.
You got it.